Good morning, it's Malaki here. Hope everyone's doing well. I've got another guest that I'm chatting to today, Adam Stronczak. Sorry, I haven't even asked that.
Yeah, Stronczak,
Did I
that's
say that
pretty
right?
close, pretty close. We say Stronczak, but Stronczak is pretty close, man.
You're in the same boat as me as a last name that's a bit funny to pronounce. So appreciate that, mate. But yeah, Adam, who I'll go back to in a sec. We work together, and I'm really keen to hear a little bit more about his story in terms of business. He's owned his business previously in the water sports industry, and he successfully exited that. He also has an MBA, so he's got both practical and theoretical knowledge, which is really good, in my opinion. But yeah, I guess he first encountered snow sports. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you're at school in the USA. So
I'm going to correct you. It's been earlier than school years. I started skiing when I was 4 and snowboarding when I was 6. Well, the reason for it is the place where I grew up and my parents, of course.
Yeah. So where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in southern parts of Poland, so very close to Czech Republic. So from my home, my house, it would be about, half an hour to the snow. So, and my father was a ski instructor recreationally. So he always wanted me to ski. So it was really a big part of my childhood.
Yeah, that's so good, man. Yeah, I'm a snow sports lover myself. I guess I stumbled across it just randomly, went on a trip with some work colleagues about 10 years ago and never really looked back. So I'm a little bit jealous that you started earlier in life than I did. And it's definitely fun for anyone who hasn't done snow sports. Definitely recommend it, which I want to chat more about that too later on in the interview about, snow sports and, what you think's going on there and that industry far out in terms of, what's going on, the state of affairs. But, just a little bit about you and me. So we work together at Urban Xtreme, which is an adventure park here in Brisbane. And I really enjoyed my time there working with Adam. He's a very strong manager and leader. And so it was just really good for me personally, just to get out and about and be face-to-face and do something that I really enjoy. So that was sort of an indoor snowboarding facility. So that's how we know each other. And we've just sort of kept in contact intermittently, which has been good. But Adam's an avid surfer, given, there's not a lot of snow in Southeast Queensland. So I think you went for a surf this morning. You were just telling me about.
Yes, I did. And it was an awesome day, really good conditions. But I must say I was a little bit disappointed in terms of the amount of people that I experienced today in the water. Given the fact what's going on in the world right now, social distancing rules weren't really followed. So I had to actually sacrifice myself and leave. I didn't want to be a part of it. So I'm going to stay away from the water on the weekends from now on and just save during the week, so I can actually practice the self-isolation rules.
Interesting. So there were quite a number of people there at the beach.
There are way too many, and I'm afraid that, if that's continue to be the case, it might really influence, surfing around where I live. So I just don't want to be a part of it.
I agree, mate. Yeah, no, I'm actually pretty staunch on that view too. For me, it's more of a principle. So,
yep.
Just wherever I can, I'm going to do my part, you know what I mean, in terms of just social distancing. So, yeah, I guess right. it remains to be seen, what the state of affairs is there. But I like your thought process on that, just self-ejecting yourself out of that situation.
But the swell was really good, I almost cried. I had to do it.
So you live on the Sunshine Coast?
That's correct. Yeah, I live in Little Mountain, so that's Calandra area.
Ah, nice. Okay. And so you're married with 2 kids as well?
Yes, I have a wife and I have 2 beautiful children, a son that's 4 years old, and his name is Timon. And my daughter, she's a little bit over 2 years old, and her name is Emma. And the interesting part was my son was born in Italy, and my daughter was born in Australia, but our family is originally from Poland, like I said before. So It looks really funny on their passports. They have the Polish passport. One is born in Carbonia, Italy, and the other one is born in Brisbane, Australia. So that's pretty cool,
I know exactly what you're saying, mate. I myself, I was born in one country and grew up in another country. So I know exactly what you're talking about, mate. I can 100% relate. But it's good to have that. We kind of touched on it previously before we started recording. It's good to have that cultural element, I guess, in terms of what you've been exposed to, and I really like that there's different perspectives in there.
I really think it opens your mind, like having that different view from different cultural perspectives. It really gives you a broader picture of everything that's going on.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah, no, that's really cool. So you're just moving on now. We'll change gears a little bit. So your previous role with Urban Xtreme, I guess, you were there for a while. Obviously, like for reasons beyond anyone's control, like the government has introduced just levels where businesses can't operate anymore. So you're not with them anymore?
I'm not with them anymore. I've been with them for more than a year. I started just like you as a casual instructor, doing my lessons, and then they promoted me to a snow sports manager where I was in charge of that indoor ski area. And then shortly before the legislation came in place where businesses were basically forced to close their doors, they made my role redundant. So I'm no longer with them anymore. I mean, I really appreciate my time that I was there. I really thank them for the opportunity. It was great for my personal and business growth. Yeah, but this chapter of my life, it's over. It's time to move on.
That's really good. I love that attitude, man. Just it sounds like from your own personal perspective, you're really just taking ownership of that, which again, like it's different. Sometimes it can be difficult, right? But I really like your view on that. I guess I applaud you in that regard. And what's up next for you, I guess, in terms of in the future? Like, is there any immediate plans, or you're looking to revive the professional surfing career? Or that could be an option as well, maybe.
I don't think I'm going to revive something that was never existing. I never had a professional surfing career. I was a professional snowboarder.
Yeah.
I was a semi-professional wakeboarder for a while as well. While I was doing my business in Italy with the water sports. Surfing, it's something that I picked up, recently, a little bit over a decade ago. And this is just fun for me. This is the way that I can connect with nature, that I can, be in the water. This is my passion. So I don't think I want to go into professional surfing. I think I'm too old for it, quite honestly, as well.
Okay.
As of immediate plans, well, for now, I think I'm just going to stand on standby and enjoy what I can, because we are all in a very difficult situation right now. And, a lot of people, especially in my industry, they are out of work. A lot of them worry about income.
Yeah.
A lot of them worry about their future, and they try to, make things happen now.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a different approach. I have a family. I have a lot of passions.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed with the fact that I can kind of be on a standby for a couple of months, and I'm going to take advantage of it. I recently spoke to my partner, and there's a bad situation, but a lot of good can come out of it. Right now, I can kind of have like that guilt-free stay-at-home time, commit to my kids, commit to my relationship, commit to my passions, and basically, keep my eyes open for the opportunities that might arise. But I'm going to take an advantage of that and really focus on my personal growth and my personal life.
I love that, man. Thank you for sharing all that too. I think it's really inspiring. Yeah, just reflecting upon all that, and just back on the snow sports industry, I guess, just as a whole, I haven't really been following any of it, and you may not have, maybe, but I suspect they're being impacted as well. So in terms, like, we actually had a trip planned to Europe at the end of this year, right? My wife's family is originally from Austria. So they're keen to go over there, and we were planning on, like, I love snowboarding, so I want to spend quite a bit of time in the mountains, but for obvious reasons, like, we've just cancelled that. But have you had an insight into just the snow sports industry in general? Like, how are they navigating the season right now? And I guess a follow-up to that is, can they pivot? Like, is this kind of, I wouldn't say the end, but what are they doing right now? And then how can they recover, I guess, in, your expert opinion, given you've been in the industry quite a while?
Well, I think we have to divide now the snow sports industry into the hemispheres as well, just to have a clearer picture of what's going on. If you look at the Northern Hemisphere, basically the season is coming to the end. We're in March, so we got April, it's pretty much the end of the season. So I suspect they're going to be doing the same thing what they were doing before. So basically, slowly getting ready for the next season, which is almost a year from now. So hopefully by that time, things will be a lot different. So obviously all the resorts that are in the Northern Hemisphere, they do have other activities going on in summer, right? Like mountain bike riding,
Yes.
hiking, sightseeing and all that stuff. And that obviously it's going to get a huge hit this summer. And now if you look at the Southern Hemisphere season, which is, approaching basically, I think that's gone. I don't think that's going to happen.
Wow.
Because, flights are not functioning. It doesn't look like they're going to be functioning anytime soon. Even if they will, I think there's going to be a huge fear factor involved in that. So people will not want to travel.
Wow.
So I really don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to navigate that, especially in the Southern Hemisphere. So we're talking about, obviously, Australia. We're talking about New Zealand. Don't know what's going to happen to them. I hope that the Northern Hemisphere season is still plausible,
Yeah. Yeah.
So now is the time where they're going to be getting ready, where they're going to be, preparing the slopes, maintaining the equipment, planning the activities for next season that made them more competitive over other resorts.
It's
That's my
definitely.
take on it. I'm not sure what they will do, but that's my take on it.
No, that's it's a difficult one, right? Like, how do you pivot? I guess in terms of your core business and functionality. And I actually like what you said, which I never even thought about, was that fear factor, right? Like, even though obviously things are closing, people's reluctance, I guess, to get involved with particular types of gatherings, just in general, which includes that type of thing. So
you got to remember that you also have to divide, snow sports, you can divide them into, let's say, professionals and recreational users, right? The professionals, it's a very small part. So that will take place because it's basically those people's jobs, right?
Yes.
But the recreational, this is what makes the world go around in terms of snow sports, the recreation part of it. And I think a lot of people will refrain from traveling for a while now.
Wow. That's, that interesting times, I guess. Hopefully I can strap on the snowboard again. I'm getting a bit itchy.
The crazy thing is, like, when you look, okay, we're talking about snow sports right now only, right? But look at all the industries that are like directly connected or even interconnected to the whole snow sports industry, like the whole hospitality thing, the hotels, restaurants, even, dry cleaning, all that's like, it's all interconnected. So if one falls, it's like a domino effect, one falls apart, everyone is out of work. So the impacts of it can be just tremendous. There are resorts in Austria and Switzerland and France and Italy that solely live off snow sports tourism. And that's not only the resort, there are, other services connected around that. If there's no movement, everything goes down.
It's a bit of a reliance, isn't it? You could say, where that's
absolutely
the center of where all the people are and all the ancillary services. No, really interesting, mate. Really good insights. The other question I had, I guess, bit of a back step or side step. I'm pretty big on business, and I guess, I haven't owned my business before, but given you have run one before, in terms of what you've seen, and then I think you've got about 15 years experience or 20 years experience now, I think.
I had my own business for about a little bit more over than 8 years, but I've been in business since I graduated my undergrad degree in the US. So I graduated that in 2006.
Yeah.
So they have about 14 years in the business.
The question I had was, what's one thing, like, in your experience and personal opinion, like, how do you, in terms of staff, right? What's one thing that you've learned and you hold true by in terms of managing staff to run an effective or a smooth team?
You probably experienced that a little bit because you were on my team in Urban Xtreme. So I firmly believe on not micromanaging people, okay? So especially when it comes to instructing sports, for instance, where majority of my business was surrounded with, instructing the sports, right? And that every person has their own personal style of instructing. What works for me might not work for you. I might not personally like it, but it's going to work for a specific target market, right?
Wow.
So to run an effective team, I think it's very important to build a framework of like, okay, there are certain things that we have to comply with, but how you're going to do it, it's your own personal choice, okay? It gives that sense of empowerment as well. So people know that they're in charge of their own work. They're not being told what to do. They're given a certain freedom. And I think that really motivates people to work to the highest standard they possibly can.
Yeah.
And in effect, it's a very good thing, because then you have then, for instance, as an example, instructors, right? You have an instructor that's really good, like let's say with middle-aged females. And the other one is really good with teenage boys. The
Wow.
other one is good with, males in their 30s, where each one of them needs a totally different approach, right?
Yeah.
And basically, by empowering them to do the instruction on their own, you kind of know where to place them.
Wow.
So it's a win-win situation, in my opinion.
Understanding that dynamic, yeah. Where did you learn that? I guess was there? It's a bit of a broad question, but is it?
Yeah,
part of.
I think it's trial and error. I think that the first things when I started to notice it, when I worked for someone actually in Greece as an instructor, kiteboarding instructor, and it kind of like it evolved organically through the place where I worked, and I just kind of kept it as a standard, because I mean, don't change things that work. So if they work, just don't change it. I guess it's very different from industry to the industry, but this industry is so particular that it works extremely well. I even implemented that in the hospitality part of my business, because part of my business, I owned a very small restaurant as well. And so we did the same with the waitresses. We did the same with the cooks. We would have, once every fortnight a meeting. We would talk about it. But we basically just created a framework, certain procedures that had to be complied with, and basically let it be, and try to control it somehow through the meetings. See if the quality is there.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And back on what you're saying about not micromanaging. I mean, personally, obviously, because we work together, that's probably one of my pet peeves, I guess, is when someone I'm either working with or reporting to, I feel like I don't have a sense of control over my work. So what I'm trying to say is I really enjoyed working with you when we did, because I noticed that straight away. And it was really cool, because I think it might have been like the first or second day, you basically just enabled me. You said, "Oh, off you go." It was as if like, "Oh, okay, yep, you've had like your training now, off you go." And so I really appreciated that, because I think that's how I personally learned as well, in terms of, okay, like you said, you just give the framework and the procedure and the structure, like the parameters, and then you just let people go within those boundaries, and it really helped me personally. So I like that style, mate. That's probably why we got along very well. We were working together. So where, just back on sort of where you went to school and growing up, where did you where did you grow up, and did part of your schooling like inform, I guess, part of how you went into business, and how you got into the sports industry, snow sports industry and stuff like that?
I hope you have time, because this is a very complicated and lengthy story. Well, I was born in Poland, like I said before. Yeah, I was born in Poland, like I said before, southern parts of Poland, Silesia region. My dad was an instructor, so that's how I got into snow sports. My dad was not a professional instructor. My dad is a physician, so that was his passion. And by the time I was 14 or 15, maybe 16, I don't remember exactly, I was sent off to a student exchange program to the United States, okay? And that was part of my high school. And basically, that was the last time I lived in Poland. I went to high school in Austin, Texas. I graduated in Austin, Texas from high school. Then I went back to Poland for about a year, continued my professional snowboarding career a little bit while attending college. And then after a year, I decided to go back to the United States, and I ended up enrolling in college in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I enrolled in Augsburg University, and at that time it was called Augsburg College. So I spent there 4 years and graduated with a Bachelor of International Business, and worked in outside sales right after that for Rico Business Solutions, where I was an account executive, basically selling document management systems, so to speak. And then I decided I'm going to go back to Europe to fix the Polish economy. Yeah, I went back.
Nice.
It took me about 4 months to realize, well, this is really not a place for me. So I left to Greece and basically got a job as a beach boy for a company called Wind for Fun, which was a kiteboarding and windsurfing school. I started windsurfing when I was really young as well. My parents were into that, so I started windsurfing when I was 7. So very shortly after I arrived in Rhodos Island, which is in Greece, as a beach boy, carrying equipment for about a month, they made me a windsurfing instructor because of the skills that I had. And I started picking up kiteboarding. And obviously that's a seasonal work. So I would spend there, 6 months, and then I would go off to the mountains to teach. I never worked at the resort. I always worked with camps. So usually with teenage camps, coaching freestyle or racing and snowboarding. So I would spend, a week or 2 with one group, then pick up another group, and that would last, for 3-4 months. And I was doing that for about 3 years, where I met my ex-business partner, and we decided, well, why don't we do something on our own? And we both were involved in both winter and water sports. And we just kind of knew from talking to people that in Europe, people love Italy. They love Italy because Italy, food, people, sun, vibe, Italy's great. So we basically just looked at the map and we were like, well, where would be the windiest place in Italy, right? And so our obvious choice was Sardinia. Sardinia is right in the middle of Mediterranean Sea. So you get the winds from, from the north, from the east, from the south. The 2 prevalent winds that hit Sardinia are Mistral and Scirocco. Mistral is blowing from northeast, whereas Scirocco is blowing from southeast. I think so. That was a long time ago, though.
Good man.
I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. And so I basically packed up a trailer, got a car, hopped on, and basically drove all around the island, found a place which has a Venturi effect. It's an effect of having like a small funnel where the landscape is built in a way that the wind enters and basically it speeds up because you have a funnel. So we found that place. It was extremely rural. There was nothing there, nothing, just fishermen. Wow. And we basically just parked our car there, rented a house there, and started marketing to Polish windsurfing schools that are on Hel Peninsula. Windsurfing and kiteboarding is quite big in Poland. So we just started marketing to friends. So we just started basically bringing friends, that would stay at our house, and we would just give them very simple lessons, charge them just a little bit of money. And it kind of spiraled from that. And then after 2 seasons, we ended up actually renting a huge space, which used to be an old nightclub. Okay? It was a huge warehouse with a kitchen facility right on the beach. Everything on the gray zone. Parts of the buildings were illegal. It's Italy. It's very different business environment. That's what we are used to here in Australia. So yeah, we rented that. And in the meantime, flights opened to our advantage directly from Poland, from a couple of different cities. And it just basically picked up. So we started with just kiteboarding and wakeboarding. We had a wakeboarding boat to begin with. And then we added windsurfing. Windsurfing is very hard in terms of logistics because the equipment is really big. You have to have a lot of storage area, which we didn't have at the beginning of our business. But once we got the place, we actually had the physical space to store the equipment. So we expanded. We expanded then through surfing as well and a little bit of cycling. And we added, a little restaurant to the service that we had. And we rented like an apartment complex that we would rent out to our students, to our guests. So we basically had like a full solution for all those disciplines. So you would come for, a week or 2. We would do everything besides getting the flights for you. So picking you up from the airport, getting you to your place where you stay, then transferring you from the place where you stay to the center where we were doing the lessons, providing you with food. And then at the end of the day, basically putting you back to the place where you stayed. So that was the whole solution.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you basically just built that from the ground, right?
From basically exactly, I think 10 kites, 4 boards, 1 trailer, and a car. We built it to a, 35 people, 35 staff business. Yeah, with pretty much the whole solution besides the flights, obviously. So yeah, from ground up.
And so you, so you successfully exited that too. So,
Yep. The reason for it was pretty simple. I met my wife in Sardinia. She's Polish as well, and we had a kid. So Sardinia is a beautiful place, man. Like, its lifestyle is amazing. People are amazing. But then when you think about the kids, if you think about the fact that the unemployment rate on the island is about 40%.
oh, wow.
So that's huge. Educational system, no offense to anyone.
Yep.
It's not the best.
Yep.
And we basically didn't see a future for my ex-business partner also had a family. So the business wasn't big enough to actually sustain two families, So we decided that, to call it quits. So yeah, I went and sat down and went through the negotiations with my ex-business partner, and he decided to buy off the 50% of the shares that I had within the business. And
Wow.
we decided to move to Australia to look for, a better life, I guess, more opportunities for us, more opportunities for the kids.
And why Australia? How did you come to
water sports, pure and simple. Like you said before, like surfing is one of my biggest passions. I love the heat. I love the warm weather, being in the ocean every day. I was thinking about going back to the United States, but then, well, we thought, Australia would be a better choice,
Yep.
A little bit easier also to basically just make your life here in terms of visas and all that stuff. I want to be very transparent. It was a little bit easier, not easy, but a little bit easier for my wife to actually get her qualifications reinstated here in Australia, whereas in the United States it would be a lot harder and nothing was certain. Whereas here we had different pathways of actually, making our life here. So we decided to give it a shot.
Yeah. And so your wife's in the health industry?
Yeah, she's a dentist. She's a dentist.
Yeah.
Working as a dentist. It was a long journey for her too. So, but without taking a risk, without the work, there are no rewards.
Yeah.
So we went through a very tough time, but it all turned out all right up until now, the COVID-19 situation. But like I said before, we're gonna embrace it and we're gonna love it, because what can we do, man?
I like that attitude, man. Good resilience, I guess, is what I'm hearing from you. And do the kids follow after you as well in terms of water sports? Are they?
Oh, they're really young. So like I said, 4-year-old. But they do go to, not now, but we're going to swimming school. They're doing awesome. My son, a little bit over 4 years, he can basically swim almost the entire length of the pool by himself,
Wow.
without touching the ground. So that's pretty impressive. My daughter is also, she's having a blast in the water. So hopefully they can follow the path. I don't want to push him too early, because, with all the sports, I think, it's really important. When the time is right, you got to do it. First of all, for the kids have to have fun. So if they don't want to do it, don't push them, because they're not going to do it in the long run, right? So slowly I'm trying to introduce my kid to, putting them on the surfboard, pushing them into the white water, just, ride it to the beach. He's surrounded with the water sports. He sees me, kiteboarding, wakeboarding, surfing. So it's a big part of his life. So hopefully he will want to be like daddy, big strong man.
He's slowly getting a taste of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
No, that's cool, man. Hey, I really enjoyed our time this morning. Just some closing remarks, I guess. Is there any, in terms of anyone who's watching this or listening to the podcast in either my network or your network, anyone that's seeing this, what's one thing that someone may be able to help you, either personally or professionally, or in terms of an introduction? Is there anything that anyone could do for you?
If anyone is from your network or my network looking for people that, are resilient for change, they can manage the change, I would love to hear from them. It would be fantastic. Managing change in my personal life, basically, that's my whole life journey. I went through so many changes that I kind of embrace the change, and I think it's good for you. So, if you need someone like that, or you want to talk about it, or you want a little bit more insight of how I coped with it in my personal or my business life, feel free to reach out.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that. I'm going to include all the relevant links in this podcast, this interview. But Thanks so much, mate, for your time this morning. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. And all the best with everything, and we'll chat again soon.
Yeah, Malaki, I want to thank you for the opportunity as well. It's been great. I mean, you reached out to me, which is fantastic. I think it's a lot of good can come out of conversations like that, you know, just getting it out to the world, seeing what, you know, what people are about, what their attitudes are all about. And yeah, so you made it happen, man. So really appreciate that as well.
No drama, mate. Chat soon. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.